Mouse, obviously we're here today to discuss LGBTQ plus History Month, and I think probably the most important question for me to ask you is what the month means for you and what it represents.
Yeah, I think for me, on one hand, it's an easy answer. On the other hand, it's difficult. I think in today's society, there's a lot going on where there's more maybe oppressing and devastating sort of situations happening around the world. But I guess for me, on the flip side of that, speaking personally as an outwardly gay member myself, it's important because it's part of who I am in an essence, and um, yeah, the awareness is still an ongoing situation that needs to occur so that it's out and everybody is becoming more comfortable and educated on things that concern the community.
And why do you think that, remembering the history of what maybe people have been through in the past, um, which is part of the month as well, why is that so important, do you think, at the moment in the present day, to find out what has happened for people in the past and the oppression that they've faced?
I think for me, again, personally speaking, it's still an area where I'm educating myself on. But history is a part of all of us, and I think even my own journey as a member of the community, it's what makes you as a person at the end of the day, and you have to know where you came from to exist here now. So in essence, that's why.
I think when you look at where we're at now, we've made tons of progress, but there's still progress to be made. But when you were younger and growing up and wanting to be a footballer, or whatever you wanted to be, but who was the athlete?
Football.
Yeah, football. Yeah. um, who was the sort of athlete that was openly LGBTQ plus, that was important to you or inspired you growing up, if you had one?
I think for me, coming from New Zealand, there wasn't so much exposure to that side of things. Certainly, when I probably started creeping into the senior national team setup, that's where I kind of started to find my feet with it all, and saw like-minded women around me, and members of the community, and yeah, that's kind of, I guess, where it started for me. So I would probably say, like, my best mate now, currently Ria Percival, was certainly someone that I looked up to in the senior national team. Abby Ursig as well. Um, and then external from New Zealand, nowadays I certainly look up to players like Megan Rapinoe and her partner Sue Bird, Magdalena Eriksson and Pernilla Harder, kind of two formidable, powerful couples for me who do a lot of work on and off the football field for the community.
You've mentioned a lot of names there that a lot of people know, and really powerful, empowering athletes for what they do on the football pitch. But how great is it for you to see, so many open and openly proud people within the football community, and also just community in general at the moment?
Yeah, I think it's massive. I think that's where you get your exposure, right? And that's where kids can see it in flesh and bone. And for me, that's kind of a big part of why I do these kind of conversations and take part in actions with LGBTQ plus in mind, because it's so important to see it right in front of you. And I certainly didn't really have that as a kid, and that's a big driving force behind what I do now and why I do it.
When you look at the sport itself, as in football, how do you think it's changed over the years regarding the acceptance?
I think it's changed massively. I think it obviously still has a long way to go, but from a personal standpoint, women's football has been a huge facilitator in my experiences as an out and proud member of the community. It's helped foster a safe environment for me to be true to who I am, and make like-minded friends, and yeah, it's been huge for me. And I think the women's football community off the field, the fans, my family, it's been safe. I've never really felt endangered, especially on the football pitch. I've been allowed to be true to who I am, and yeah, at the end of the day, if you're able to do that, that helps your football game as a whole.
talked a lot about women and really powerful women who are openly part of that community and how empowering and how amazing that is. But I think over the past few years, we've seen men come out as gay or part of that community.
Mm-hmm.
How empowering is that to see for you as well? Because without stereotyping anything, I suppose maybe it's sometimes not been as accepted in men's football, or certainly not as soon as it was in as it has been in women's football.
Yeah, I think that's the hard truth of the current state of football. There is still that stereotype between men and women, and it's not accepted as greatly as it is on the women's side, and so that's still a work in progress. I think more recently I was very privileged to do some work and have a really empowering conversation with Sander Murray at last year actually, and to hear his side of things and where his journey has taken him to be true to who he is was extremely empowering and completely obviously different to my own. And I commend him for his bravery and anybody else who does in the men's game, because it is still a really scary place.
We've come very far with a lot of things, and we're further ahead than we've maybe ever been. But from your own personal perspective, what would you like to see more of so we can, get that quality faster?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I think at the end of the day, what I continue to try to say and act accordingly individually is it's just about being good people at the end of the day, fostering environments to allow people to be true to who they are, because that's at the end of the day, that's how you get the best out of individuals. But it's just about being a good human, being kind and generous, and more so understanding. And then I think additionally just educating yourself, because if you're not educated, then you're not really in a place to understand maybe the individual's perspective or the community as a whole. And I think that's a really important first step for a lot of people.
You've been in Glasgow City the past 18 months, but you've been in Europe, you've played for Liverpool, you've played for, other clubs outside of ourselves. Mm-hmm. How important has it been to have allyship throughout your clubs? And I don't just mean sort of within the dressing room, which is really important, like managers, staff, even down to, media and things like that. How important is it that you've had that allyship throughout your football career, and what does that, how does that benefit you and your game and you as a person?
Yeah, I think for me, I've again been very fortunate in my journey. At Liverpool, I had some incredible experience involving these sort of conversations. My one with Klopp will stick with me for a very, very long time. Liverpool, did some amazing work, and then even, coming up here to Glasgow City, same sort of thing. Very supportive environment, supportive staff, supportive changing room, and I think that the cool thing about City is its own journey, and the leaders at the top have kind of set the standard and fostered a really safe environment for people to be true to who they are, and you get that acceptance and understanding, and that's awesome for me. That was one of the big ticking points of me coming up here. So yeah.